When my parents handed my boutique to my cousin, I stopped designing for free. Days later, Mom begged me to save a failing order. I replied, "Let Sarah handle it. She's the owner, right?" I'm Olivia Harper, 32, a fashion designer in Miami, and this is how my family broke my heart, but also how I found my strength. I create clothes that make people feel alive, dresses, jackets, gowns that light up a room. My studio in Wynwood is a chaotic haven, with fabric swatches pinned to the walls, a sewing machine that jams at the worst times, and a view of colorful murals that inspire me. My boutique, worth $500,000, was my dream, built from years of late-night sketches and pitching to investors who didn't believe in me at first. Growing up in our Coral Gables home, I was never the favorite. That was my cousin Sarah, 28, who my parents, Karen and Michael, treated like a second daughter. I thought my boutique would finally make them proud. Instead, they tried to steal it, and it hurt more than I can say, but it also showed me what I'm made of. Sarah was always their golden girl. Mom, 55, a retired teacher, paid for her college, gushed over her charm. Dad, 57, a former accountant, bought her a car, called her our future. Sarah got trips to Key West, parties, everything. Me, I got, "Olivia, you're tough." I funded design school at Fit with retail jobs, built my career without their help. My apartment in Coconut Grove is small, wood floors, a lumpy couch, a balcony overlooking palm trees, swaying in the breeze. I'd helped my parents plenty. $15,000 for their mortgage, $8,000 for their taxes. Family, right? You give, even when it's one-sided. 5 years ago, I opened my boutique in South Beach, pouring my soul into every stitch. Silk dresses hung in the window, racks glowed with my designs. It was my art, my name drawing Miami's elite. Mom and Dad invested $20,000 early on, but I repaid it with $10,000 interest. I designed Mom's gala dress for free, $3,000 worth. Bought Dad a tailored suit, $2,000. I thought it was our shared dream. Then, last month, Mom called while I was in my studio, sketching a spring line, fabric scraps littering the floor. "Olivia," she said, her voice flat, "we're giving the boutique to Sarah." My pencil snapped. "Sarah?" "She's got vision," Mom added. "You're set. She needs this." I blinked, my chest tight. "You didn't ask me," I said, my voice shakier than I wanted. Dad cut in on speaker. "Sarah's the future, Olivia. You don't need it." Future? Sarah's last job was selling candles online for $200. "That's my boutique," I pushed back, standing by my cluttered desk. "My designs, my name." Mom laughed, sharp and mean. "Don't be dramatic. It's just a shop." Just a shop? I'd built it. Every late night, every sale. I found out Sarah planned to mass-produce cheap knockoffs, slapping my brand on polyester. My heart sank. I'd been their designer, their bank, and now they were handing my dream to her like I was nothing. I called Sarah, my hands trembling. "You're ruining it?" I asked, pacing my studio, the hum of Miami outside. She giggled, that smug tone she always had. "Chill, Liv. It's just business." Business? The gowns I sketched at 3 a.m.? The shop where I cried after my first sale? "I'm done," I snapped. "No more designs for you. You're on your own." She laughed. "Whatever. We don't need you." Mom texted later. "You're too sensitive, Olivia. Grow up." Sensitive? I'd given them everything. I pulled my sketches from the boutique's system, locked my portfolio, done. Driving home, Miami's skyline felt heavy, the neon lights too bright. That boutique wasn't just a store. It was me, my art. They'd given it to Sarah like I was invisible. I called Rachel Evans, my best friend since design school, where we bonded over bad coffee and late-night critiques. She answered, her voice warm. "Olivia, what's going on?" I spilled it. The boutique, Sarah's smirk, Mom's text. My voice cracked. Angry one moment, hurt the next. "They used you," Rachel said, blunt. "Protect your work. Let them crash." I sat on my couch, staring at my laptop, bank app open. My $200,000 savings were safe. Their accounts? I was out. Rachel's words stuck. Let them crash. They thought I'd keep designing for free. They were wrong. I didn't sleep that night, the city's hum, traffic, distant music, keeping me restless. I felt raw, betrayed, but something sparked. I'd spent years building their dream alongside mine. No more. I Googled business lawyers, found one with great reviews, booked a meeting. That boutique was my soul, and they'd handed it to Sarah. I was done being their doormat. Days later, my phone buzzed. Sarah's Instagram post, a selfie in my boutique captioned, "New owner, new vibe, big things coming." Not a word about me or the gowns I designed for free. Comments poured in. "Slay, Sarah." "Karen, you raised a gem." A gem. Sarah's candle business made $200. My boutique, my blood and art, was worth $500,000. Aunt Linda's heart emoji stung. She'd worn my dress at Christmas, called me talented. Now, nothing. I blocked the post, my hands shaking. Miami's skyline was humid and heavy outside my balcony, the air sticky. They'd erased me, made me a ghost in my own shop. Mom called while I was in my studio, pinning fabric for a new line, the smell of thread and coffee grounding me. I let it ring twice. "Olivia," she said, her voice sharp, "you need to keep designing. Sarah's counting on you." Counting on me? For her cheap knockoffs? "I'm done," I said, keeping my voice even, my sewing machine humming low. "You gave her the boutique. Let her run it." She scoffed. "You're selfish. We need your designs." Need? I'd paid their car loan $10,000, fixed their roof $12,000. "No," I said. "Sarah's the owner." She gasped. "You're heartless." The call ended. Heartless? I'd been their free labor, not their daughter. Rumors spread like wildfire. Aunt Linda texted, "Why abandon the boutique?" Cousin Ryan called me bitter. Mom had spun it. I was the ungrateful designer, sabotaging Sarah's vision. Vision? She was tanking my brand with polyester fakes. A client, Sophie Clark, emailed, "Heard drama at the boutique. Are your designs still yours?" My stomach twisted. Their lies were hitting my work, my name. I called Rachel, pacing my studio, the city's heat pressing in. "They're trying to ruin me," I said, my voice catching. She was fierce. "They won't, Olivia. Protect your brand. Let them sink." I nodded, staring at my savings on my laptop. $200,000. Safe. "What if they want more?" I asked. Rachel's voice was steel. "They will. Get legal." I found Ethan Cole online, a business lawyer with a rep for winning tough cases. We met at a cafe in Coconut Grove, palms swaying, the air thick with salt. I laid it out, the boutique, Sarah's takeover, my exit. Ethan's eyes narrowed, his iced coffee sweating. "You designed for free? No contract?" I nodded. "Just trust." He leaned back. "You're not liable for their losses, but we'll dig deeper. They sound desperate." He got to work. I texted Anna Brooks, my design colleague. "New line launch soon," I said. She replied, "I'm in." I called Sophie Clark, my VIP client. "Exclusive collection coming," I said. She was excited. A plan was forming. Not revenge, but truth. Then they pushed harder. Sarah and Dad showed up at my studio. No warning. Sarah in one of my dresses, Dad in a faded polo, his face stern. "Olivia," Sarah said, leaning on my cutting table, smirking. "You owe us $30,000. I blinked, stunned. Fabric scissors in my hand. "What?" Dad stepped up, his voice heavy. "You worked at the boutique, profited from it. Pay up." Profited? I designed for free, built their brand. "That's my money," I said, my voice tight, shoving a bolt of silk aside. "I owe nothing," Sarah smirked. "You're killing the shop. Just pay." I laughed, bitter. "You got the boutique. Run it." Dad's face went red. "You're no daughter of mine." The words cut deep, like a needle I hadn't seen coming. I pointed to the door. "Get out." They left, Sarah's heels clicking, Dad muttering. That night, Mom mailed a letter, typed, formal. "Olivia, your withdrawal damaged the boutique. Pay $30,000 or we'll sue for sabotage. Sabotage? I'd saved them from debt. They twisted my work against me. I sent it to Ethan. They're bluffing, he said, but we'll counter. My studio felt like a target, the hum of my sewing machine mocking me. They'd given Sarah my boutique. Now they wanted my savings. For what? Her next flop? Ethan called a week later, his voice sharp. Olivia, we hit something big. My pulse spiked. What? He explained. Sarah had taken a $100,000 loan to expand the boutique, using my name as guarantor. Mom co-signed, emailing the bank. Olivia's designs back this. They'd lied, banking on my reputation. Ethan had proof, loan documents, emails, bank records. A text from Sarah to a friend. Olivia's name's my golden ticket. I felt sick, my hands trembling. They hadn't just taken my boutique. They'd gambled my name. I needed more. I called Uncle David, Mom's brother, the one relative who hadn't turned on me. We met at a bar by Miami Beach, waves crashing, the air salty. Olivia, he said, nursing a beer, Sarah's expansion's a mess. They're drowning in debt. They want your money to bail out. My jaw tightened. Bail out? With my savings? Your mom thinks Sarah's their legacy, David sighed. They're blind. I thanked him, my mind racing. Sarah wasn't just spoiled. She was reckless, and they'd let her risk everything. I sat in my studio, Miami's sunset blazing through the window, fabric scraps scattered. Rachel stopped by, bringing coffee. They're imploding, she said, blunt. You've got evidence. Use it. I nodded, a mix of nerves and fire. I will, but it's gotta shine. Ethan was prepping a lawsuit. I moved my $200,000 to a trust, untouchable. I planned a design line launch at a sleek showroom in the design district. Glass walls, spotlights on my gowns. I invited Rachel, Anna, Sophie, Aunt Linda, Uncle David, cousins who'd bought their lies. The invite was chic, unveiling a new era. Mom, Dad, and Sarah weren't invited. They'd feel it soon enough. The launch was set for 7 p.m. The showroom glowed, my gowns shimmering under spotlights, fabrics flowing like they had a pulse. Rachel rocked a leather jacket, hyping the crowd. Anna showcased my sketches, her excitement contagious. Sophie bid high at the preview sale, her smile warm. Aunt Linda fidgeted. Uncle David gave a quiet nod. The vibe was electric, runway pulsing, champagne clinking, chatter loud. I wore a crimson gown, feeling fierce like I was claiming my space. Uncle David hugged me, his voice low. Olivia, I'm sorry about the boutique. I nodded. Just watch. I took the mic. Thanks for being here, I said, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. This isn't just a launch, it's my truth. I clicked a button and a screen lit up. Sarah's smirk flashed in my mind. The first slide showed Sarah's $100,000 loan, my name forged as guarantor, Mom's co-signature, a default notice due now. Next, emails. Mom to Sarah, Olivia won't know, a bank letter demanding payment. Sarah's Instagram post claiming my designs, Mom's letter demanding $30,000. This isn't family, I said, my voice sharp. It's theft. You took my boutique, used my name for your debt. The room went silent. Aunt Linda's glass clinked. Uncle David's jaw tightened. I kept going. My savings, $200,000, locked in a trust. You'll never touch it, I said. Sarah burst in, uninvited, her face red, wearing one of my dresses. You're lying, she screamed, shoving through the crowd. This is sabotage. Dad followed, mumbling, Olivia, stop. Mom's pearls trembled, her eyes wet. You're ruining us. Ruining them. I pressed on. One more, I said. A client invoice, 50 dresses from Sarah's order, wrong sizes, cheap polyester, returned unpaid. You killed my brand, I said, staring at Sarah. Now fix yours. Ethan stepped forward, papers in hand. Olivia owes nothing, he said, his voice firm. We're suing Sarah for fraud, seeking damages. Uncle David spoke up. Sarah, you're a disgrace. Aunt Linda gasped, "Karen, how could you?" Sarah stormed out, sobbing, her dress catching on the door. Dad slumped, his face broken. Mom cried, head in hands. "Olivia, why?" she whispered. I looked at her, calm but raw inside. "You chose her. Live with it." The cousins sat, stunned. A few nodded, their eyes soft. I'd flipped their story. The launch ended, my gowns sold out. I walked into Miami's breeze, the night cool on my face, no weight left, just freedom. Days later, the bank moved in. The boutique was foreclosed, Sarah's knockoffs unsold, trashed. Mom called, her voice pleading, "Olivia, save us." I said, "Talk to Sarah." 6 months later, my life soaring. My design line launched globally. Saks, Nordstrom carry my gowns. I walked Paris Fashion Week, called a trailblazer. Sarah's reputation tanked. Creditors sued, and she fled Miami. Mom and Dad sold their boat, scraping by in a small condo. They mailed apologies. "We were wrong," Mom wrote. I didn't reply. They chose Sarah when they gave her my boutique. I chose myself at that launch. I bought a new apartment in Brickell, all ocean views and open space with a studio nook for my sketches. On the wall, I hung my first boutique sketch, faded but mine. Not for nostalgia, but for what I survived. I posted it online. Family values your talent, doesn't steal it. Messages flooded in. Clients, fans, artists like me. "You gave me strength," one wrote. Rachel threw a rooftop party with cheap rum and loud reggaeton. We danced, toasted to chosen family. Miami sparkled below, mine to claim. I don't hate them. They thought I'd crumble. I didn't. That boutique was my heart, and they gave it away. That debt was their mess, and they kept it. When I said, "Talk to Sarah," their world fell apart. Mine grew. I'm Olivia Harper, free, designing a life they'll never touch.